The scent hit me before I saw him: sandalwood, citrus, rain-soaked earth. The crowd fell silent, parting in fear as Alpha Killian Desmond walked straight toward me. My wolf rejoiced, but my world collapsed. The most vicious alpha alive stopped 5 feet away and growled one word: mine. You are mine, his deep voice announced, growing deeper with each word. Alpha Killian closed the distance between me and him. He came to a stop a foot in front of me and looked down on me. Tattoos made their way up his neck and down his forearms. He wore a deep blue button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up to his elbows and a pair of black slacks. A sharp yet chiseled jawline, framed by full eyebrows, lips and a set of deep grey eyes. His face seemed cold, expressionless, distant. "What is your name?" Alpha Killian asked in his deep voice, each word enunciated clearly. "Claire. My name is Claire," I replied, finally finding my voice. "Claire," Alpha Killian repeated, as if tasting the word on his tongue. "Do you know who I am?" "I do," I found myself answering. In another fluid movement, he turned his back to me. "Follow me," he told me, his tone leaving no room for argument. We made our way through the shell-shocked crowd to an extra-long table. Alpha Killian made his way to one of the empty chairs and took a seat. "We will be traveling to my territory tomorrow morning." Alpha Killian spoke to me, his voice yet again void of any emotion. "I'm going to say goodbye to my family and friends. I'll be back shortly," I said to him, doing my absolute best to keep my voice strong and steady. "Do not stray too far, little mate," he replied in an amused tone, his eyes growing darker with each word. Reluctantly, I peeled my eyes away from Alpha Killian. I managed to find the entrance we had came in hours ago, and I hastily made my way outside. I walked further across the clearing and around the side of the tent until I knew I was alone. With a huff, I leaned against the nearest oak tree with my eyes closed, trying desperately to slow my racing heart. "I thought you'd be out here," an amused voice called out. I watched as Jake's form walked up to me looking slightly disheveled. "Yeah, I needed a break," I sighed, turning my head and gazing into the forest. "I didn't get the chance to tell you, but you look absolutely amazing tonight." Jake smirked, taking a few more steps towards me. "Thanks," I replied, my voice sounding unsure. "I gotta tell you the truth, Claire. I didn't come here looking for just any mate," Jake said, slurring his words somewhat. "I gotta get back to Hazel." I trailed off, attempting to step around him. "And Brandon," Jake snapped, grabbing my wrist and pushing me back against the tree. "Jake, what are you doing?" I wanted to demand angrily, but my voice came out in a frightened whisper. "Finally showing you how I feel." Jake slurred, messily grabbing both of my wrists with his hand and pinning them above my head. "Jake, get off of me," I screeched, finally finding my voice. I thrashed against him, using all of the force in my body to try and get him off. But it did no good. "Shut up. Don't act stupid. You know it's always been you all these years," Jake snapped, using his free hand to strike my face. Jake was on the ground, his back lying in the wet grass. Standing above him was none other than my rescuer. Alpha Killian stood above Jake, his eyes a murderous shade of black. "Claire, are you alright?" Alpha Killian asked, turning his head ever so slightly so he could look at me. His eyes remained black, glowing with fury. His voice was incredibly calm, which made him sound even more deadly. Instead, I nodded, trying to blink away the tears that had sprung to my eyes. "What is going on here?" A balding man spoke up, making his way through the crowd and to Jake's side. "This pup tried to rape my mate," Alpha Killian spat, using the word pup as if it were the lowest form of life. "Is this true, son?" Alpha George frowned, leaning down to get a good look at Jake's face. "I didn't do anything she didn't want," Jake spat, his eyes locked on my face. "It would serve you well to keep your mouth shut." Alpha Killian spat, his voice sounding like its own weapon. Let me deal with him. Alpha George spoke up. Would you like to make an enemy of me? Alpha Killian asked calmly, his eyes staring into the other alphas. What would you have me do? Alpha George asked, fear snaking its way into his voice. Let me decide his fate. Alpha Killian replied in his deep, calm voice. Very well. Alpha George trailed off, giving a petrified Jake one last glance full of sympathy. Without another word towards Alpha George, Alpha Killian turned to the two men who were following him. Grab him. Alpha Killian ordered, his voice deadly calm. The men grabbed Jake, who attempted to fight out of their grasp, but it was useless. Alpha Killian turned towards me and began to walk in my direction. Without saying a word, he stopped in front of me. His eyes were still midnight black. I watched cautiously as he slowly lifted his hand towards my face. I felt myself wince as he lifted his finger to trace down my bruised cheek. The sparks that made their way down my cheek caused my eyes to widen in surprise. As quickly as he had traced down the side of my cheek, his hand was gone, back at his side. I took a step from the base of the oak tree and quickly realized I had made a mistake. I looked around frantically as darkness began to cloud my vision. And for the first time in my life, I fainted. I grabbed the boy by the back of his throat. My vision turned red as Titan, and I both held the reins. With a simple fluid movement, I slammed the boy to the ground on his back and lurched my other fist forward, smiling cruelly at the satisfying crunch of a shattered nose. Claire, are you all right? I found myself asking calmly, turning my head ever so slightly so I could look at her face. This pup tried to rape my mate. I spat. Is this true, son? Alpha George frowned. I didn't do anything she didn't want. Jake spat. It would serve you well to keep your mouth shut. I spat. Let me deal with him. Alpha George spoke up. Would you like to make an enemy of me? I asked calmly. What would you have me do? Alpha George asked. Let me decide his fate. I replied in my deep, calm voice. Very well. Alpha George trailed off. Grab him. I spoke calmly, without another glance to the pathetic boy. I turned back to Claire, who leaned against the large oak tree as if it were her lifeline. Without being able to stop myself, I lifted my hand and allowed my finger to run down the length of her cheek. I felt my anger return, stronger than ever, as she winced under my light touch. The sparks that shot down my finger stunned me, and I quickly dropped my hand. I watched as she attempted to take a step away from the oak, to support her own weight. In an instant, I watched the realization of the mistake she made flash through her crystal eyes. It was as if the lights behind her eyes had shut off, and without a single sound she fell to the ground. Anticipating her fall, I swept her legs out from under her and cradled her in my arms. With a few quiet breaths, I walked over to what I could only assume was her family. Show me to your house, I told the man who looked to be her father, my gaze emotionless and unyielding as I carried his quiet daughter in my arms.